Hi guys, welcome again to my channel Tech Talk with Baba Femi. So today what we'll be looking at is how to manage users and groups in Azure Active Directory. So most of the time, like I said, you would hear me say Azure AD instead of Azure Active Directory. So what are we going to be looking at today? Yeah, we'll be looking at how you can actually create and manage users in Azure AD. After then, we'll look at how you can actually create and manage the administrative unit. I'm going to explain what administrative unit is. Then after that, I'm going to explain going to look at how to create and manage groups in Azure AD. Then we're going to be looking at different type of group that can be created from Azure Active Directory. Then also we'll be looking at how you can actually assign devices and users to those groups that have been created. Like the videos has always been on 100% practical section. So right now I'll be heading to portal.azure.com, which I've already opened up in a new tab here. Now, for what you can see, all we need to do is just to click on our Azure Active Directory services. If you cannot find it here, either you click this icon and look for Azure Active Directory or search for Azure Active Directory from this part, and you'll be able to. So, in as much any one of these that I'm actually clicking, I'm going to get redirected to display. Now, so here you can see the overview of Azure Active Directory, what we have right now. So right now we have only 3 users seated. My account that I used in logging in being one of them, and 2 other ones that I've invited or created there. We have 0 groups, zero devices, 0 applications, and these should be changing in very soon. Now, so let's start with users aid. So my last video I talked about um the roles and administration. Yeah, you need to understand that before you jump to this side, because if you are not assigned the roles, if you don't have the necessary permission to perform this operation, you will not be able to create user. So only user administrator and global admin can manage users. So any only users that have been assigned global administrator role and user admin role can actually manage users. So managing users, what are we going to start with? We are going to start with creating users. So yeah, there are ways we can create users. Is either we click on this icon and have a new user created. We can invite guest users to our tenant. We can do bulk operation in the sense that we have maybe we're just setting up our Azure AD tenant, and we are looking at setting up like 2,000 users in the tenant. So it won't make any sense if we are creating these users one by one. We can do what we call a bulk create. We can do bulk invite if we are inviting these users to the tenant instead of creating them. Maybe they are guest users, or we just want everyone to be using their maybe normal Gmail address or something. We'll just invite their Gmail address to this tenant. We can do what we call the bulk create. Or if we want to perform any of this operation, all we need to do is just to click on, then we download the CSV file. Once we are able to fill up the CSV file, then we'll upload it. So the CSV file is going to contain something like name, the user principal name, then something like user type or so. So you can do that, the company name, all the features that you want to add, then you can edit the CSV file and upload it once it's ready. So right now, what I'm just going to start with is I'm going to create a new user. How do we create a new user? Click on that user icon. We have 2 options there. Is either we create a user or we invite this user as guest or tenant. So I'm going to start with creating a new user. So all we need to understand is once you are creating a new user, you will only find the domain that has been registered in your tenant. Here now, this Tech Talk with Baba Femi is our initial domain that was assigned to this tenant when we created this Azure Active Directory, this tenant. You understand? So If you really want to know how to create Azure Active Directory tenant and the likes, you need to look for my first video and watch how we actually created a tenant, our free account from scratch. So I'm just going to say, okay, Chris, then like the example I have here, Chris Green. So I'm going to say his first name is Chris, and I'm going to say Green. Yeah, we can also generate password. I like that one because I just don't want to. I don't like this option because this option will allow me create the password, but Azure will force you to change your password after the first login. So I'm just going to allow Azure create the password for me. I can copy this password from here. If you have any group you want to assign these users to while you are creating, if I want to change the roles of this user to maybe global admin, I can click on these and say, okay, this user is a developer. I can just assign role instead of creating this user and assigning the role to this user at the end of the day. So let me say I'm assigning an application developer role to this user. So what are the other options? I can block signing. This user doesn't need to sign into the portal. So maybe this user will only be signing into our application. So I just want to block the block. But now I'm going to leave it this way. So here, user location, you need to assign a user location to each of the user. If not, when you are trying to assign a license to the user, let's say license like P2 for this user to be able to perform something like conditional access and the likes, or P1, which will maybe allow the user to be maybe manage SaaS application and the like, at least, or any other license you are assigning to this user, you need to assign a user location. If you do not assign a user location to this user, you will not be able to assign a license to the user. So I like this name, Aruba, so I'm just going to pick the Aruba. So you can fill all these ones. If the user has a manager in the tenant, then fine. Then I can just click on create. Now, this is how we'll create a new user. Okay, now I've created the user and I did not remember to copy the password of that user. What can I do? Like I said, this is the user. I can just click on this user and say reset password. So I can reset the password of this user, which is fine. Now, if I go back to this user, so if I'm signing in with this user, then I need the first initial password. So is that create the password? So something I'm going to show you here. This is a guest user I've invited to my tenant. Now, how do we invite a guest user? If I click on, I can do this from here and say invite user, or I can even go back here and say new guest user. I want to invite this guest user, so it's still going to bring me back to this blade. So I'm saying Chris Brown. I don't want Chris Green so I'm going Chris Brown. I'm going to say IT360 ng at gmail.com. I want to invite. So I'm saying please then you can put in a personal message that you want to send to this user. Hi, Chris. I'm sending you this invitation to join my tenant. Something like that. Just put your own message. The same thing goes to these. You can assign this user to a role. You can to a group. You can assign a role to this user. I'm not assigning any role to this user now. This is a guest user. You can block signing. You can do the same thing we do to a normal user from here. So I'm just going to say invite. The only thing is we're not creating, we're inviting this user. So one thing you need to understand is the source of authority is different in the sense that there is a little you can do when it comes to managing guest user from your tenant. I'm going to show you that we have a guest user now. We have a normal user now, a member. So if I click on this guest user, I'm going to show you guys something. Now, most of the time, the invited user might not even be able to, if it tries to switch tenant, it might not be able to see your tenant. Why? Just because this guy have not accepted invitation. So we need to be sure that our user has accepted the invitation. How are you going to know that this user has accepted the invitation? You can always come to this page and see invitation accepted, no. When this is no, that means the user has not accepted the invitation. So you can always tell the user, okay, you need to accept this invitation before you are able to manage. So one thing I need you two guys to understand is, like I said, the source of authority is different. This is invitation, this is not creation. So there is a little I can do. I can delete this user, fine. Let me show you something now. Now, if I go to this user I created, which is with the tech talk, now, if I click on reset password, yes, I'm able to reset this password of this user because this user is actually created in my tenant. Now, another thing that you guys need to understand is any user created from Azure AD or Office 365 is known as a work account. You understand? So you need to get that. Then I'm going to reset this password of this user. A temporary password is going to be assigned to me. Just hold on, please. It's resetting. Voila. Yeah. Now let's go back to the other user, which is a guest user. Now, how do we even know if this user is a guest user? Sometimes because you have the access to change the user type. If I click on edit, you can change the user type to member depending on what you want to perform, what operation you want to perform. So even if I change it to member, then there should be something to differentiate that this guy was invited to the tenant and was not created from the tenant. Now, what are we going to differentiate with? These. Now, all the guest user you can see here, you notice that this is external to this. It's saying it360ng at gmail.com, external, which is the EST to this tenant. That is right, which is different from the tenant, from the user I've created from this tenant, like Chris has talked with Baba Femi, Tech Talk with Baba Femi on Microsoft, which is the member. Now, if you notice this guy was not invited to the tenant. Rather, it was the user that was used in creating this tenant. So that is why he's still having EST, because the user was not created from this tenant, and that is why he has this EST. So the quick one, I'm just going to so one thing, you just from all explanation, you cannot reset the password of the guest user. So I'm just going to go to that user and say reset password. Yes, the option is now. Can you see? This is not the home directory of this user, so you cannot reset this user. Okay, I just don't even want this user again. I just feel like let me delete this user. I can say delete user. Yes. Same thing, I can do the same thing to a work account. So if I have more information I want to supply to user profile, I can edit it here and scroll down and set up all this information. Even for us, for the user to be able to authenticate or when a role maybe the user wants to reset his password, we can set up the authentication method of this user from this side and input in a phone number, email, and when user try to reset the password or try to authenticate, this is the email or phone number that will be contacted. So which is fine. Now let me see. We've deleted that user, and we feel like can we even get back the user? Yes, sure. I can click on this user, deleted user, and see this is going to be permanently deleted on this date, which is like a month after. So users that have been deleted will be deleted 30 days after they have been deleted from the tenant. So I don't want to delete this user. I'm just going to install this user back. So, but if you want to delete permanently, you can click on permanent delete permanently. So I've restored back this user. So for this user, let me just go back to that user and see what has happened on that user when the user was deleted. So yeah, is the user. So quickly, I'm going to check what has been happening the sign-in log of this user. If I click on that user, on any of those users, and I click on sign-in log, this is going to show me when last I've signed in, when I sign in, if the status was successful or was it interrupted at any time. Interrupted means there was no successful signing, or I was trying to sign in and the second level of authentication was not met. So that means this was interrupted. So you're going to see the user, the application they're signing to, the IP address you're signing in from, the location, authentication method. Can you see? It was when I was doing multi-factor authentication, which was the second level, and that was why I got this interruption. So this is my signing log for the last 24 hours. So audit logs, these are what I've done in the tenant. I've created user, I've deleted user. Can you see? I just deleted this user and I restored back this user. I tried to reset the password of one of the user. I updated the user by creating the user. No, sorry, I updated the user information. I invited the user, I added the user, I added another user. So these are everything you do in a tenant is being recorded on that audit log. You can find the audit log under each of those users, or you can even find the audit log under Azure Active Directory. But this is for all. If I come here and sign and check the audit log and the signing log of this. So that is how we manage our users. So there's still a lot of things. If you have any question, you can also drop it under the comment side. So if I want to enable MFA for all these users, all I need to do is just to click by MFA. It takes me to where I'm going to enable MFA. It's logging in, so I need to sign in. I need to sign into that page. And okay, I'm gonna skip. So this part, which is skip for 14 days, when you create a new Azure AD tenant, there is a way you can remove that. So I'm just going to show you how to remove that by doing it from here, from Azure Active Directory. Then I go to properties. Go to properties. Under properties, you will see where to manage security default. It's enabled by default, so I'm going to set that to no. And I'm going to say, Ajay is saying, why do you want to remove it? And I'm going to say, no, I don't want to type anything. Let me just say this. So the next time I'm trying to sign in, this is not going to prompt me for that option. So yeah, which user do you want to enable MFA for? I'm just going to click any of these users and say enable. So this is how you enable multi-factor authentication for the user. So is that enabled? But yeah, is enabled. Most times, even if you enable this user, the user can still skip MFA or try. So, but I want to enforce this. I don't want the user to be able to sign in without MFA. So I'm just going to enforce it. So that's the part. So being enabling is different from enforcing. So if you enable, I can still skip it for some time, or keep skipping it. But if I enforce it, there is no way this user can sign into this tenant without a second level of authentication. So I'm going to go back here and talk about administrative units. So for administrative unit, it's just like you have been so many departments in the organization, and you're looking at assigning users that are from that each department to each administrative unit. So this is just like a logical grouping. So I can say I want to add an administrative unit, and I say IT department. So IT deep. So properties, I can assign role to any of the user on this administrative unit. And so if I assign role to a user, once okay, let me just come here and say I want to add members. So I can add members of IT and say, okay, Chris Brown is this guy is should be a member. Yes. Then I can say, yeah, under the administrative unit, I want to assign roles under the administrative unit. So if I assign role to this Chris Brown, the Chris Brown, what can I assign? I can assign this group administrator, help desk, password, user admin. So if I assign a user admin under this administrative unit, so the user is able to perform that operation under this administrative unit. So the same thing goes to the other administrative unit I'm going to set up here. But the good thing is the admin under IT cannot okay, let me just quickly create another one and say business development at then just create um, just create. So this is different. If I assign role on this guy to a user, the user will not be able to manage this guy under here. So it is different unit. It's just like you are creating units under your organization. So that's that about administrative unit. So you can always look at this feature instead of creating multiple Azure AD. You just want to create an administrative unit so that you can actually have different departments. So what again? Okay, so we'll be talking about groups, how we can actually create groups in Azure AD. So if I click on this part, which is the groups, so I can I can do new group. So we have two types of groups that we can actually create. We have the security group and the Microsoft 365 group. So yeah, if you create a Microsoft 365 group, an email address is assigned automatically. You need to create an email and then will be assigned to the group. So with this email address, or once a mail is sent to that email address, then all the member of the group will get the email. So okay, let's create one and say test 365 test 365 test 365. Yes. So can you see? But if I don't like that, I can change the email to something else. Then Azure AD roles will be assigned. So one good thing about group is when you create a group, and let's say you have 17 guys you want to assign a developer role to, then you can just create a group and add all these developers to this group. And instead of you assigning role to them one by one, then you can just assign role to this user from here. So I'm going to say no, I'm not assigning any group. Who is the owner of this group? Do you want to add a member? So just going to say create. I'm not assigning any member at this time. I'm going to create another group, which is the security group. And I say test secure and same again. So one thing I need you guys to understand is we have different membership type. We have the assigned, we have the user dynamic, and the dynamic user and dynamic group. Now for this assigned, that means I'm going to be assigning those users to this group manually. Maybe so. I'm just going to say, okay, let me assign one user to this group, and I say admin, and I assign. Yes, this guy is a member of this group. I create this group. Good thing. Now, the groups also have what we call, okay, this is been created. Let's wait for, okay, let me just load this page. Let's see. That should be faster. And yeah, so we have the two guys now. So can you see this is a Microsoft 365 and that has an email address with it, and we have a security group. Now we have this same feature that we have for users. We have deleted groups. So let's see what this does. I just want to delete these two guys. I don't need them again. And I just click on this guy and say, I want to delete. Guys, check out something. This is Microsoft 365 and this is security group. be sure that you want to delete a group before you delete it. I'm just going to say okay. And we have two groups that have been deleted. Let's reload. Are they still here? Okay, sometimes you just need to refresh this page. Okay, let's see. Now, the two groups have been deleted. With this deleted group option, I should be able to see the two groups in here. Okay, let me click on it and let's see if we have the two groups. Whoa, we only have one. Why? This one that we have is the Microsoft O365 group that we have created. So that is why I say when it comes to grouping, please be sure that you want to delete a group before you delete it. You cannot restore a security group once it's deleted. You need to know that. You cannot restore a security group once it's deleted. So I'm just going to go back and say, I need to restore this group. Yeah, fine. Same notification. 30 days after the original deletion, you can still restore a group. So I'm going to go back and create another security group, but this time I'm not going to be assigning users manually to this group. I want to do a dynamic assignment. So yeah, for me to be able to do a dynamic assignment, okay, I'm creating a security group and I say test secure. Because I've deleted that group, then I can use the group name. So, but now I'm going to say dynamic users. Now, this guy is not giving me option to add manually, and this guy is not giving me the option to create. You need to add the query before you can create. So, what am I going to do? I'm just going to say, okay, there are a lot of properties you can choose here. If you click on this side, you can see all these properties. I can use object ID, I can use display name, the city, the country, the department. So here I'm just going to use let's say country and say operator, and let's say I can say if your country equals to or match. So, or let's say if your country does not equals to, they should join. Then I'm gonna say um, okay. I'm gonna type in Nigeria here, equals Nigeria. Then yes, then I can save these here. Yes. So now since I have a query already, then I'm gonna create these. Yes, the group is creating now, but right now I'm not sure I have any user that has a Nigeria as. So I'm going to go back to my users and edit one or two of my users with the country. So I'm going to say okay, because green I think tax is going to. So I'm going to check in here and say country or region. I have Nigeria. This guy is from Nigeria. Fine. So I'll save this. And so let's quickly rush back to where we have the groups and let's see. By now, I'm not sure if there won't be any user in this group because the processing time have not even started. And you see, user is zero. So we're going to wait and have for this user. This might take up to 3 minutes. I'm going to be posting this video, and once this has been processed, you would see. Yeah. So we have this. This is done. This is done. Now, one membership last updated at this time. Then we have one user already, one direct member. Then so we're going to be checking who was added to the group. Now we have Chris Brown. And the only reason why this guy was added to the group is that this guy is actually from Nigeria, and what we use is actually like the query is to add any user from Nigeria, which is fine. So let's quickly rush down and let's say I'm going to create another group for you guys to see before we just end this section today. I'm going to add everyone, but at this time, I'm going to say not equals to Nigeria. Test not. So so the same thing goes to devices. It depends because I don't have any device in here. I will not be able to add any device. So add query. At this time, I'm going to say country. Then I'm going to say not equals to Nigeria. So this should add everyone except Chris Green. Saving these. The time it takes a group to propagate depends on the number of objects, Active Directory objects that you have. So sometimes it might take up to 30 minutes, or time it might take up to 24 hours. So it depends on what and what. So let's refresh and see. So I'm going to refresh from this side. Okay, let's see. Do we have the group now? No, still creating. Yeah, fine. Now, test not. Let's see. At this time, no one has joined. Let's just wait two 2 minutes and let's see if it's going to be added. Keep reloading. No, nothing yet. We are expecting. Okay, let me just quickly go back to. I think we should be expecting like how many users. I'm not sure I've added anyone else to Nigeria. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We should be expecting 4 users to be added to the group, depending on. Okay, this is test notes. Voila, update completed. So now we have 4 users. So I have 4 users already. So if I click on members, then you're gonna see everyone except Chris Green. So because Chris Green is actually from Nigeria. So I can add based on the member type. I only want member. I don't want users to be added. So there are a lot of conditions you can just set up there. So thank you guys for watching this video. You can also subscribe to my channel so that you can see the other videos I've actually put in there. And also you can click on the bell to get a notification every time I drop a video. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you guys again in my next video. Bye.